You've clicked on this video. The headline might have brought you here. So what I will tell you is we are filming this at the end of July, and as we step into August, 7-OH and its derivatives will become illegal in the United States on a federal level. If you've seen any of our videos previously, you know that I might have a relatively nuanced approach to talking about the subject of 7-hydroxy. Because of this channel, because of the advertising that we do online, I end up speaking to a lot of consumers, people all over the country who are in different circumstances from one another, but they share one thing in common. They're afraid, and they're most likely addicted to 7-OH. Addiction, in my opinion, is not a substance issue, which is why I don't believe in prohibition. It is a society issue, and it is an individual choice issue. That being said, there are a lot of things that are wrong with the 7-OH industry, just like there are things that are wrong within the kratom industry. As an example, manufacturers who make products and don't tell the consumer what's in those products. As an example, manufacturers who make 7-OH products and name them after the same exact drugs you were probably addicted to 10 years ago. What else is wrong with the industry? Manufacturers who make products that put inhumane levels of the active ingredient into the product, all to satisfy the mechanism that exists within the industry. Shops all across America are constantly looking for better deals, which means cheaper product, stronger product, because in their mind, that is what's going to sell well at the store. So they're making the choice for you, the end consumer, and you're presented with the options that made sense to the business owner before putting them on the shelves. I want to make it extremely clear that you do not need to buy anything in order to quit 7-OH or MGM. Although you might be running out of time, you could progress with a taper, which basically means that you take away a small amount of the dosage that you would normally consume in a one-day period each and every day until you go from 300 milligrams to 3 milligrams. It's gradual, it requires discipline, but it's probably the most comfortable way to quit. Preceding all of this, though, it's extremely important to know I'm not a medical professional, I'm not an addiction counselor, I have no certificates on my wall, but I do have a beating heart and I do genuinely care about the people that I talk to. I don't believe that my products or any kratom product will be the single answer to somebody's addiction to 7-OH. I think that people with the addiction might be struggling in other areas of their life, and I think those areas, if given the right time and attention, could help to prevent addiction in the future. But we're here now, and if you're watching this video and you're struggling and you're scared, what I'm here to tell you is you can do it. You can absolutely kick the habit. It's been done before. You can do it cold turkey. You don't need any other products to do it. It is going to be miserable. It is going to be difficult. You could also go to a doctor, and they could prescribe you with a pharmaceutical product that might be able to alleviate your symptoms. And for sure, that doctor can give you better medical advice than I am currently capable of giving you. That doctor can actually guide you in a way that is legal and fair and backed by science and data. So I'm not anti-medical community. I do think it's tragic whenever a consumer that went from kratom to 7-OH ends up on Suboxone, and that's a subject for an entirely different video. But the bottom line is self-belief and understanding that it will be uncomfortable and that it will get better every day is probably the most important thing that I want every one of you who is addicted to this product or a product like it to understand. Kratom is not necessarily the answer for everybody. I love it. I consume it every day. I think it's amazing, but that's my opinion. That's based on my personal experience. And if you have self-control issues with 7-OH, you may very well have the same self-control issues with kratom if you were to make the switch. So really, in my mind, what's the point of switching if you're going to be addicted to yet another product? But if your quality of life improves, then maybe it's worth exploring. So a couple of questions that get asked to me all the time. What product did I use to quit 7-OH when I was consuming it? How much product was I consuming when I did take 7-OH? And the answer to that question is roughly 300 milligrams a day, every day. I experienced withdrawal symptoms from 7-OH that kratom has never given me. I quit using a full spectrum kratom extract. Quite frankly, I didn't skip a beat. I felt completely normal, but I didn't get a buzz. When you ask me, what product did I use to quit? You have to understand that it was to feel normal and not to replace the high that I was getting from 7-OH. And you need to remove the idea of being able to find a better substitute high from 7-OH or MGM because A, it's not healthy, B, it's not practical. C, it's going to send you down a dark path. No doctor is going to prescribe you heroin or fentanyl to give you a better buzz to replace 7-OH. They're going to give you something called Suboxone or methadone, which, while it is capable of giving you a buzz, is nowhere near as magnanimous and wonderful as 7-OH made you feel for all of about 15 minutes at a time every time you took a tablet. Understand that 7-OH is extremely potent and it's demanding a lot from your body's receptors. They're tapped out. Going from 7-OH to kratom just means that you're taking a less potent analgesic, a less potent substance in replacement of 7-OH, and that means you're probably not going to feel anything. But for me, feeling normal and not skipping a beat, not having any interruption, not having any discomfort was a win. But that's because I was not fixated so much on the buzz that I was getting from 7-OH. So I want to make it really, really clear, guys, and to recap a couple of points. I'm not a doctor, not advising you what to do with your body. I'm sharing personal experience and in some ways experiences anecdotally of the people that I've interacted with over the last year. Listen to your body. Be patient with yourself. Do not beat yourself up over being in this position. You are not alone. There are literally millions of people who are in the same boat as you. There are people who got there willingly, knowingly. There are people who got there because they were given 7-OH instead of kratom when they first visited that first shop trying to explore a natural alternative to any other drug. Please do not shame yourself and do not beat yourself up over this. You are human. You make mistakes. This is a learning experience, and once you've got it behind you, you're going to be in a better place and you'll avoid it in the future. Let's talk about why someone would want to see 7-OH remain on the shelves. Number one, they're a chronic pain patient. Number two, they're not horribly addicted to it because they controlled their dose. Number three, maybe they're purchasing a product that's from a brand that's more reputable with smaller dosages per tablet. They're not buying the 200 milligram tablets, and they're sure as hell not buying one named after a street drug. So to them, they're viewing this as the loss of a tool, and for them, they are losing a tool. They're losing something that brought them quality of life. For those people, I feel horrible, although not guilty because I don't feel like I'm individually responsible for 7-OH being banned. What I think is responsible for 7-OH being banned is the vast majority of people who have abused this product, spent way too much money on it, blowing the industry up in terms of revenue overnight, and the companies that have operated unethically in the space. To you, watching this video, if you are bummed out about losing the access to 7-OH, I'm sorry, but we all of us, myself included, need to be better about where we spend our money. And if you're buying products, whether they're shoes on your feet or the underpants that you're currently wearing, I'm wearing none, and you are not able to see any visibility from that company, you're not able to communicate with them, you know that they do unethical practices, don't spend your money there. Find the less unethical company to spend your money with if no great companies are available. Be more discerning with where you spend your money. We all have the opportunity to be better, and if collectively we decide that we're not going to put up with the BS that comes from the big brands and the small brands, then we'll have a better world to share, and those companies, by the nature of consumer demand, will have to change the way that they operate in the marketplace. So pick better brands. Support small businesses. If your buddy opens up a shop across the road, go spend money with him. You just spent $160 on a pair of sneakers. You have money to buy from local businesses that care about the community. You have money to buy from brands that build their products in the United States. So my message to you guys is this: stay safe out there. Do not consider the drugs that are on the streets. Go to a doctor if you need to. Go to a doctor if you're unsure, if you're scared. If you have to go on Suboxone, there's no shame in that. You're a human being and you're in a dark place today, but you can fight to get out of that tomorrow. As always, we appreciate you tuning in for this video. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, drop them below. Otherwise, please hit like and subscribe and reach out to us if you have any questions. It brings me joy. Love talking to you guys. Thank you.